Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for CFP Board's 2015 Job Task Analysis Study Update webinar. This is Liz Dombrowski, CFP Board's Continuing Education Administrator. Today's speakers are Shar Gregurchi, CFP, CFP Board's Continuing Education and Experience Manager, and Dr. Isabel Gunthier, our Director of Examinations. Before we start, I'd like to review some technical details. If you run into issues with the audio for this presentation, or if it seems like the slides are out of sync, please try refreshing your webinar console. To do that on your PC, press F5. If you're using a Mac, press Command R. You'll see a question and answer function on the right side of your screen that you can use at any time during the program to submit questions to us. We'll try to address as many questions as possible during a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to your question today during the webinar, we will follow up with you after the event. There is no continuing education granted for today's webinar. And we do anticipate that a recording of today's event will be posted next week on our website at www.cfp.net/CE-sponsor. And now I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Gregurchi.
Thank you for that nice introduction, Liz. And thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us for this important webinar to review the 2015 Job Task Analysis and the resulting impact on CE sponsors. Dr. Gunthier will start us off by providing background on the 2015 Job Task Analysis Study as far as its purpose and the steps CFP Board took to facilitate the process. We will then discuss some of the emerging trends that came about as a result of the study and the new principal topics list, including reviewing the detailed changes as compared to the 2009 topics. We will also discuss contextual variables, which is a new component that came about from the 2015 Job Task Analysis Study. Finally, I will take some time to discuss some of the opportunities that exist for CE sponsors as a result of the updated principal topics list and the 2015 study. One thing for CE sponsors to keep in mind during this presentation is that the updated 2015 principal topics list does not represent any new exclusions, but rather is a reorganization and clarification of existing topics, as we will illustrate during this presentation. We want to alleviate any concerns from the get-go from sponsors who recently went through the 2015 Phase 1 changes that impacted all CFP Board CE programs. So with that said, I will now turn things over to Dr. Gunthier.
Thank you. So approximately every 5 years, the CFP Board conducts, in partnership with a testing firm, what we call a job task analysis study for the practice of financial planning. The job task analysis incorporates a multi-method approach that involves a number of subject matter experts, also an analysis of emerging trends in the profession, and a large-scale survey of practicing CFP professionals and educators from registered programs. The results of the job task analysis provide information about the tasks performed on the job and the knowledge requirements to perform those tasks. The study results form the basis for an evaluation of current certification standards and any recommendation for change in the standards by the CFP Board, including changes to education, examination, experience, and continuing education. The job task analysis is a very rigorous process based on best practice in high-stake credentialing. In terms of the different steps that are included as part of the process, we have, first of all, the research phase, where there's a number of subject matter experts involved. There were interviews conducted. There was a group that was put together, the Job Task Analysis Task Force, that was put together to oversee and provide insight in terms of the content of what should be included in a job task analysis. This group was responsible for the development of the job task and the knowledge statements, building from the 2009 job task analysis. So it's not like we're getting rid of anything. We're just kind of building from what we have and making sure that from their research on emerging trends, we're outlining any updates, changes, additional things that needs to be captured to reflect the current practice of, for CFP professionals. The Council on Examinations was also involved in the process in providing feedback and content. Then following the development phase, then there was a survey that was developed. We call that a validation survey, where CFP professionals across the country were asked to provide input in terms of the task statements and the knowledge statements to make sure everything was included, any other changes that needed to be captured. And the outcomes of this validation survey were reviewed by the Council on Examination, and they provided input in terms of the creation of the test specification or the blueprint for the CFP examination. So now let's dive into more specifically the outcomes from the 2015 Job Task Analysis Study. As I was mentioning, there was research done in terms of identifying emerging trends. So it included a detailed review of those trends and highlighted the importance of refining or adding key knowledge topics that were addressing more specifically those following components. The first one that was key from the emerging trends analysis was retirement savings and income planning. It used to be that we were referring to retirement planning exclusively, but there was a need to further define it as not only retirement planning, but retirement savings and income planning. And this is the new naming for the category, and we'll see when we talk about more of the details that there's also additional topics that were fleshed out in order to reflect that change from the emerging trends. The other main component that is very important from the emerging trends analysis was the importance of education planning. Education planning has been added as a new knowledge, principal knowledge topic category. It used to be part of the general principles of financial planning, but now it's one of the main topics with more elements included under it to reflect its importance. The other emerging trend was about the holistic and integrated aspect of financial planning, which we will see appearing more in the general principles of financial planning, but also through the contextual variables. And we'll talk a little bit more about the contextual variables in a bit, just to provide a little bit more context around the addition of this element to the job task analysis. Healthcare was also another element that was considered extremely important as part of the research, and it's captured under risk management and insurance planning and under retirement savings and income planning. As well, it's being captured as one of the elements through the contextual variables, highlighting again its importance. And then finally, debt management was another component that was critical from the emerging trend, and it's been included under general principles of financial planning. So high level, what we're looking at in terms of the 2015 principal knowledge topic categories, so we have 8 of them. The first one is professional conduct and regulation. Then we have general principles of financial planning. Then we have education planning, risk management and insurance planning. Then we have investment planning, and tax planning, retirement savings and income planning, and then finally estate planning. So we'll talk a little bit more specifically about the detailed changes from the job task analysis to the principal knowledge topics. So this slide is a very good illustration of the outcomes of the job task analysis in terms of illustrating the integrated and holistic aspect of financial planning. This is a visual representation that was created in order to highlight the integration and the connection between the principal knowledge topics, which are at the center of the circle, and also the financial planning job task domains, and the contextual variables that are overarching everything, all the different types of situations that we're dealing with in financial planning. But for the purpose of this presentation and also the purpose for CE sponsors, we will mainly focus on the knowledge topics and the contextual variables. The domains are still there, but it's just to illustrate that we're never looking at things in isolation. This visual representation is also very helpful in terms of, as I've mentioned, demonstrating the integration that is a key element of financial planning, and outlines the importance of the job task analysis as it has an impact on all the different aspects of the CFP certification, as I've mentioned before. So having an impact on how we look at the education requirements, the exam, with the exam blueprint, the experience, and continuing education. So what does it mean in terms of detailed changes? In 2009, we had 71 topics, and now we're looking at 72 topics. What I want to highlight here is the fact that although we have a smaller number of topics, it doesn't mean that anything has been excluded. It's still all there. It's just been mainly reorganized.
Absolutely, Dr. Gantier, and I wanted to just quickly chime in and reiterate that point because I do anticipate some questions. Seeing a drop from 78 topics to 72 might cause some concern from CE sponsors, but although there is a decrease in the number of topics, certainly this update for the principal topics is more of a reorganization, refinement, and clarification of the existing topics rather than new exclusions. So I want to, again, just reiterate that point. And furthermore, as we're going to see later on in this presentation, this reevaluation and this new topic list, and certainly the contextual variables, represent greater opportunity for CE sponsors to develop new programming that aligns with these new elements that resulted from the job task analysis.
Absolutely. So now if we're looking at more of the structural changes from in comparison to the 2009 job task analysis. One of the change was to, in fact, move professional conduct and regulation as being the first topic that is being addressed. In order to reflect the importance of this in terms of the practice of financial planning. So it's still there. It's been relabeled. It used to be professional conduct and fiduciary responsibility. Now it's professional conduct and regulation, and we just moved it as to be the first one to appear. The other structural change, which also leads to a more meaningful change from a content perspective, is the addition, as I've mentioned before, of education planning as one of the principal topics category. So it's been inserted right after general financial planning principles. Then another structural change that is there compared to the 2009 job task analysis is the repositioning of the interpersonal communication. It used to be a principal knowledge topic category in the past. Now it's not lost. It's just basically being repositioned to be included as topics under the general financial planning principles. Now looking at more of the changes within each of those categories. So the first one is professional conduct and regulation. So here what we have is that we have a reorganization of some of those topics. Some of them used to be under the general financial planning principles, and now we're seeing them appear under professional conduct and regulation. More specifically, we're referring to function, purpose, and regulation of financial institutions that now appears under this category. Then we have financial services regulations and requirements, consumer protection laws, and fiduciary. Under general principles of financial planning, as I've mentioned from the emerging trend research, we have added debt management. There was a few elements that were removed or repositioned. Function, purpose, and regulation of financial institutions has been moved, as I've mentioned earlier. Education planning is now a main category, so it's been removed from the list here. Financial planning for special circumstances has been removed as a topic because it's now captured under the contextual variable, and business law has been removed. As you can see as well is the addition of the interpersonal communication topics under that list. The next one is education planning. That's our new main topic category. It provides more details. It's an expanded section to reflect its importance as part of the financial planning process. Next one is risk management in insurance planning. Before it used to refer only to insurance planning. Risk management was added to the title to be more inclusive. In terms of updates from the 2009, income taxation of life insurance has been removed, And property and casualty insurance is a new topic that has been included here. Next one is investment planning. Here, what we can see is the addition of a topic, which is alternative investments. Then we have tax planning. It used to be income tax planning. Now it's only tax planning, again, to reflect from a broader perspective. Very, very similar to what we've seen in the past. The only difference is with the removal of basis from the list of topics. Then we have retirement savings and income planning. So again, the title has changed to be, instead of being only retirement planning, it's retirement savings and income planning. And from there, there's been topics added to reflect that. So retirement income and distribution strategies was expanded. Business succession planning was also expanded. And here also one key change or addition is with Social Security, it also now includes Medicare, and then Medicaid was also added to the list. Finally, we have estate planning. You'll note here that the number of topics was refined and streamlined from 21 topics to 10 topics. I want to say that nothing has been lost. It's just been reorganized to make it more streamlined and more structured as per the other topic categories.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll add as far as the details that we just reviewed under each category, hopefully the process as far as moving away from that really granular analysis of these topics previously and broadening some of them, especially like, for example, income tax planning is now called tax planning because there are other aspects of tax issues in addition to income tax planning. And then certainly on the investment side, alternative investments used to always be acceptable, but now, you know, because of the prominence, the emerging trend, and the fact that more people are using alternative investments, it's been added. And really some of these changes, these specific detailed changes that we're reviewing here, have greater impact on those registered programs that offer the initial education component because they have to cover all of these aspects. So if they hadn't been covering them before, it needs to be in the curriculum, whereas CE sponsors have now the ability to add these new topics to their programming where they may not have had an existing program that addressed that specific topic in the past. So hopefully that was clear, and everybody you know, that's watching right now saw the fact that, you know, it was more restructuring, broadening, clarification of these subtopics rather than outright removal or exclusion.
Absolutely, and it's good to clarify again for sure. One key addition that we have from this process with the job task analysis in 2015 is the addition of contextual variables to reflect the integrated and holistic aspect of financial planning and also reflect this element as an overarching the knowledge topics. It's about highlighting different situations, elements that are applicable across financial planning situations or issues. Contextual variables are to be considered when dealing with specific financial planning situations. More specifically, financial planning situations that require the application of financial planning knowledge for different types of clients, such as, and these would be like including family status, net worth, income level, life or professional stage, and other circumstances such as health issues, divorce, change of employment status, aging parents, special needs children. So here what we have is that these are not specific knowledge topics, but they are elements that are captured and are part of potentially any situation and have to be considered and are applicable across the board for different elements or topics.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dr. Gantier, for providing a general overview of the job task analysis process and reviewing those detailed changes of the resulting principal topic list. I think it's very important for CE sponsors and our stakeholders in general to be cognizant of this process that led up to these changes and the collective effort of everybody that was involved, including, as you mentioned previously, the Council on Exam, the working group that was put together, and the CFP professionals themselves that participated in the survey. So this was a collective effort in reaching this end result, and this is a routine process that CFP board goes through to make sure that the content and the body of knowledge is relevant to the financial planning profession. So with that said, as we saw, the job task analysis study serves as a benchmark for all of our certification requirements, impacting the initial education standards, the exam blueprint, the continuing education requirements, as we are about to talk about right now. But this update has very minimal impact for CE sponsors. It actually represents several opportunities for certain sponsors that want to develop new programs. So CE sponsors have the ability to develop and deliver additional CE programming content that directly addresses these new emerging trends that were identified in the job task analysis. For example, although there are existing CE courses on debt management and education planning, CFP professionals are more likely to seek out advanced CE programs that address these emerging trends, since there is more of a need to provide these planning services to clients. Another area of opportunity for CE sponsors exists in the contextual variable elements of the job task study. As you all know, CFP board recently introduced the level of complexity requirement, whereas the CE sponsor on their initial application sets the level of complexity for that course. And really this has to do with setting the expectation for that participant to know, is this an entry-level, beginner-level overview? Is this intermediate, or is this an advanced course? So contextual variables can be leveraged as a way to develop more complex CE programs that address the varying financial planning situations that exist beyond the underlying topic alone. So for example, if you have an existing CE program that addresses retirement income planning in general terms, you can apply contextual variable aspects to the program to increase the complexity level of the course. So courses that span multiple topics and involve contextual variables present the best opportunity for CE sponsors to develop more complex programming. Furthermore, CFP board will soon launch an updated version of the CE search section of our website, where CFP professionals can currently search for CE programming, but they will now, once this update goes into effect, be able to search by level of complexity, keyword search in the program description, search by the number of CE hours delivered, and the delivery format. So again, the CFP professional has the ability to go through and say, okay, I need to learn about healthcare, as far as the Affordable Care Act, or I need to sign up for a class that deals with education planning and debt management. So they'll be able to search that section of our website to find an active program that offers those learning needs that they're seeking. So this presents an opportunity for CE sponsors when they're developing their content, when they're submitting their applications, to make sure that they're very thorough in their program descriptions and their learning objectives and identifying which principal topics it relates to. And that doesn't mean just simply putting the letter, under healthcare, for example, G53 as the learning objectives. We do need you guys to write it out, because again, that information is visible, will be visible once the course is active on our website. So again, an opportunity to provide more complex, more robust programming that tie into these emerging trends that have been identified in the job task analysis for 2015. Going back to this visual, this infograph, I think it really does a good job, as Dr. Gantier mentioned, of tying all the elements together. But for the purposes of CE sponsors, I also wanted to reiterate the fact that the contextual variables are not exclusive on their own. The principal topics have been and will continue to be the driving force with regards to eligible content. So first and foremost, you need to tie it into the principal topics, and then if there is that additional level, you can certainly add the elements of the contextual variables, but they're not exclusive of each other. So I just want to bring up that point on that slide. And then reiterating this aspect again, there are no additional exclusions for accepted topics under the CE requirements, and content still needs to connect to the principal topics. And we still ask for the same turnaround time to review new applications. But one thing that will and might delay the processing of your application is incomplete data that you submit on that form. So again, just make sure that you're providing clear learning objectives, a clear program description, and you're taking into account those exclusions that have been in place for a while. And those exclusions are practice management, the sales pieces, the marketing, pure marketing aspects, software, company-specific content, and then obviously public accounting. So those are the existing exclusions. They remain the same going forward for 2015 and beyond. So as far as the timeline, these new topics that we just talked about today as a result of the job task analysis, CE sponsors can start leveraging these new topics for program applications as early as July 1st of this year. However, effective January 1st of next year, so for your 2016 renewal, these requirements as far as tying to these updated principal topics will go into effect in 2016. But again, I'll reiterate this point that we do not expect any additional exclusions as a result of this. So those programs that have been approved for 2015 under the existing principal topics will continue to be approved, and there are no changes needed. So with that said, I'm going to turn the presentation back over to Liz.
Well, thank you. I just want to take a chance to review a few of the questions that came in during the webinar. Just to start things off, one of the questions that came in is, it sounds like you're saying that there's not really a big impact on CE sponsors. So why are we even reviewing and updating this information right now?
Well, that's a fair question, and although there is no immediate actionable impact on CE sponsors currently, this is a process, as we talked about in this presentation, that impacts all facets of the certification process. So it's a driving force behind the education requirement, the exam blueprint, and then obviously the principal topics relate to what is eligible for CE content. Now, the difference is that unlike the registered program, CE sponsors can pick and choose which content that they provide. So it is important to review this process that led up to this principal topic list, because as you know, Liz, we get that question all the time of why is this not included or why is this excluded? So there is a robust, rigorous process as far as the job task analysis study that we conduct quite regularly. And Dr. Gunty, did you have any additional items to add on that point?
Yeah, and I guess it's just reiterating the importance of relooking at all of this on the periodically, so we can make sure we are incorporating all of the new trends and be current in terms of practice of illustrating the practice of financial planning.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's actually a really good tie-in to the next question that came in. We have a sponsor who says that the majority of his classes focus on the interpersonal communication section, and he wants to know, why is that section considered not as important anymore?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's not as important due to the recategorization of it. The last time we did the job task analysis was in 2009, and if you guys all remember, I'm sure it was right after the 2008 financial crisis, and those aspects of communicating with the client, talking them down off of that ledge, financial planners really were more psychiatrists than they were financial planners for a lot of elements. So those communication skills really rose to the top as far as importance when we did that job task analysis in 2009. But I think what this person will realize once they go through the details of the updated list is we actually broaden that category to address some of the behavioral aspects in general. So I think it is a positive certainly in that regard, and not indicative of decreasing the value or the importance of that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely, Shar. I would reiterate that, is that it's there. It's just placing them under general principles of financial planning, where it's a better way of illustrating where it goes, and also reflecting overall, looking at financial planning in general, trying to highlight the key topics that are the main categories, basically.
All right. Actually, this question just came in. There's a question about the contextual variables. The contextual variables do indeed allow for more complexity in the programs. Did you find from the analysis that our membership actually wanted more complex programming at this time?
Well, as far as the CE specific aspects, that was not part of the survey as far as getting feedback from CFP professionals with regards to what type of programming that they were seeking. And I'll let Dr. Granthier talk about the survey that went out, but it really had to do with the daily activities that planners went through with regards to what topics do they address with their clients to capture that data. But that survey was specific to the job task analysis and not for CE aspects specifically.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that it's about necessarily the complexity. I think it's to make sure to illustrate all aspects of a financial planning situation that cannot necessarily be reflected in the knowledge topics per se, and they're not part of the tasks that you would see, but are part of how you deal with a situation, the types of situations that might occur, and that would impact how you deal in terms of, you know, the different types of family situation, different types of clients, net worth, circumstances will impact potentially how you deal with people in terms of their tax planning or their retirement planning. So it was a way to better reflect that and be more inclusive, not necessarily to increase the complexity, but, you know, very much the inclusion of all facets.
Well, we actually have another question came in that was very similar because, again, you had mentioned talking about new opportunities and ways for growth in terms of CE opportunities. Can you tell us what our colleagues are focusing on, how we can see what classes are available so we can better find those deficiencies?
That's an interesting question. So we will be launching this updated version of the search section of our website where CFP professionals currently are able to search our CE programs that are accepted for CE credit, but we're enhancing it to be in line with some of the new elements like the level of complexity and the learning objectives will now be visible. So with that said, we don't produce a consolidated list of programs as far as categorizing them, but certainly a CE sponsor can jump on that website once it's launched, the updated version, and see, you know, search by level of complexity and see all the programs, and certainly others. This is meant for CFP professionals, but I guess it can be leveraged in that way as well.
This question may be best suited towards you, Shar.
Okay.
I have a sponsor who wants to know, will I have to resubmit all of my programs again in 2016, or will we be able to renew them?
Gotcha. So yeah, 2015 was a unique circumstance with regards to program renewal from year to year. In the past, sponsors were able to pay their invoice for a program that they had offered in the previous year that didn't have any content updates, and away they went as long as it was still applicable and relevant. For 2015, since we were asking for additional information with regards to the level of complexity, learning objectives, and some of the other enhancements that went into effect, we did need new applications for each program. I do not anticipate a need to resubmit programs that have been approved in 2015 for 2016 renewal. However, new additional programs that providers will develop certainly will need to come in as a new application, but again, I do not foresee that being an issue as far as resubmitting your programs like you had to do for 2015. I know that was a pretty arduous process for certain sponsors that had to start from scratch, but that's why, again, we wanted to reiterate that point, that minimal impact for sponsors.
Well, for our last question, just because it's come up quite a few times, where can I find a copy of the updated principal topics right now, and where can I find a copy of the webinar slides?
Excellent. So we will be publishing the list for CE sponsors on the CE sponsor specific section of our website, but currently this information is live on our website.
Yeah, we do have a page on our website about the job task analysis, and that page includes information about the process. It includes the list for the knowledge topics, the graphical representation that you've seen. Everything is included on the website, and you can access it very easily through there.
Excellent. That shortcut URL for those that are interested in accessing that information right now is cfp.net/2015JTA.
All right. Well, thank you so much to both of our speakers. We will be posting this presentation and the slides up on our website at cfp.net/CE sponsor within the next week. I know that we didn't have the opportunity to review each and every question, so for the questions that were not answered here today, we will follow up with you individually. If you have additional questions that come up, please feel free to reach out to us at cesponsor@cfpboard.org. We're very excited about the new opportunities available as a result of this job task analysis study, so thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day.